Hey guys, in this video I will show you the start and burst cycle of the ice melody rotation. Okay, so let's first start with the starting. Well, I recommend you to start with 6 strings, full strings. If you don't have them, you can just cast your thunder to the air. Cast a void thunder and it will get you 6 strings. Okay, and then you wait 60 seconds. You wait 1 minute before you're engaging into combat. Okay, so let's start. Let's first watch it. Okay, so let's then revise frame by frame, skill by skill. So first, you turn on your mirror heart to accelerate your obtaining of the stacks. Okay, so you double click your mirror heart to directly get the fire mirror heart, because we are always using fire mirror heart in the ice melody rotation. And then you do not cast the fire song. It's because the fire song will have a GCD and you will not be able to cast other skills within this GCD. But if you first cast a Ice 1 and then you cast your fire song within this scene of Ice 1, then the GCD does not cause any problem, right? Because you are already seeing your Ice 1. So Ice 1 and then fire song. And you might be asking that why am I not casting my note melody directly, because it's huge damage, right? It's because the note melody will only have its damage increased by 35% if you have the dancing note buff. And the dancing note buff will be triggered by your dragon, right? Your dragon. So you do not directly cast your note melody before your first dragon triggered. So you continue cast your Ice 1. This is your second Ice 1. And then you might be asking, well, the fire song got you 2 stacks of the dragon debuff on your enemy, and you have to play additional 2 Ice 1 to get the dragon triggered. Why am I not playing my Ice 1? Well, let's see. After the second Ice 1, I'm still not casting my Ice 2, but directly this note melody. And after this note melody, in the next Ice 1, I cast these 2 Ice 2. So I got this note melody after my first note melody. I got this dancing note buff after my first note melody. But at this time, my first note melody has not yet already exploded. And its damage is not calculated based on the stats and buffs while I was casting it, but at the moment that it explodes. So as long as I have the dancing note buff at the timing that my first note melody explodes, its damage will be increased by 35. And based on doing so, I will have 2 more strings directly after my first melody, consuming my all strings. And after my first note melody, which is the 6th string note melody, its cooldown is reduced by 12 seconds, which almost means it has already cooled down. I have to obtain my following 3 strings as soon as possible to accelerate my rotation, to cast my 6th note melody as soon as possible, as early as possible, right? So compared with casting those 2 Ice 2 before my note melody to directly get this dancing note buff, it's better to cast it after my first melody. It does not lose the 35% increased damage of my first note melody, but get me 2 extra strings after my note melody, which accelerates my next note melody. Okay, so let's watch it again. Turn on the mirror heart, double click to get to fire, and Ice 1, then fire song to avoid the GCD problem, and then the next Ice 1, the second Ice 1, and after it, not casting those Ice 2s, but the note melody. And after the note melody, in the next Ice 1, cast these 2 Ice 2s to get this dancing note before the explosion of my first note melody, and then my second note melody. And within the scene of my second note melody, make up the third string from the 2 stacks of flowing music from my previous ice one. And after I finish singing my second note melody, it will consume all 3 strings. Okay, so this is the very start. After this, you just use your ice melody to reset your cooldown of note melody, and then you go into your normal burst cycle. So the following part of start is just like the normal burst, so we can talk about it later in the burst section. But before that, let's watch the starting part again. Okay, so this is the starting. So then let's go to the burst. Let's first look at the burst with your mirror heart. Well, I mean, it's not possible to always have your mirror hearts on during your burst of ice melody and thunder, right? But if you have, you can do so, which is a higher burst damage, right? So let's first look at the burst with your mirror heart. You do not directly turn on your mirror heart while casting your note melody. It's because the reason I told you later, I told you earlier, that the damage of your note melody is calculated based on the timing of its explosion, but not based on the snapshots of your stats and buffs while you're casting this note melody, right? So that is why you turn on your mirror heart after the casting of your note melody. It's because that during your mirror heart, your ice one will give you 2 stacks of flowing music buff. But if you cast your note melody within your mirror heart, you will cast 1 less ice one in your mirror heart, which means you lose 1 stack of flowing music buff. So it's better to cast your note melody and then turn on your mirror heart before its explosion, right? So note melody and then mirror heart. And before turning on the mirror heart, it's better to have 4 or 5 stacks of flowing music buff to have a higher number of ice 2 inside your mirror heart, and to obtaining the flowing strings for your next note melody as soon as possible. Because after this mirror heart, you will very soon, like immediately after this mirror heart, you use your ice melody to reset your cooldown of note melody. So you have to accumulate the following 3 strings as soon as possible to cast your next note melody earlier. And this time the note melody will be an instant skill, which means you're not able to complete your 3 strings to make up your 3rd string while the singing of this note melody, because it has no singing. So you have to get 3 strings, then cast your note melody. And you might ask, why didn't I stop my ice 2 and then cast note melody? That will make my note melody 1 second earlier, right? But the problem is that then the note melody will cause a GCD if you don't have any stacks of music flow. I don't know that is why, but it's just the reality. And the overall time cost of such cycle is decided by your last note melody, not this one. And your last note melody timing is determined by the speed you're obtaining all those needy strings. So it does not matter if you cast your earlier note melody earlier or later, but if you have a high enough efficiency in obtaining those strings, right? So this is the first note melody after your ice melody, and after it, you directly turn on your thunder. The thunder will give you six strings, and at the moment during your casting of thunder, the note melody refresh again. So after you're obtaining 6 strings by this thunder, you can directly cast your second note melody after your ice melody, which is also an instant and which also refresh its own. refresh itself. Yeah, and then you obtain 3 strings, actually 2 strings note melody, and make up the 3rd string. Yeah, so this is the burst with your mirror heart. The only difference between such a cycle and the starting is that during the starting you already have your mirror heart on. You already have your mirror heart on, and you have no extra flowing music buffs while you are casting this ice melody. But the following part is just like quite alike. So let's look at the let's first watch the burst with your mirror heart again. So you don't use your mirror heart and wait for your next note melody. And at the time you're casting it, you have 4 or 5 stacks. It's not a mirror heart after ice melody, 3 and 6 string note melodies, and then 3 strings, and the last note melody. Okay, so within this mirror heart, you cast in total 4 note melodies. Right? Okay, so at last, let's look at the burst without your mirror heart. It is quite simple then, just without a mirror heart. Right? You get 5 stacks and mirror heart. No mirror heart. You get 5 stacks and then note melody. Well, at which point? Yeah, 5 stacks, note melody, ice melody, 3 strings, and 2 stacks, note melody, thunder, note melody, and 3 strings, and note melody. Okay, so that is all for those starting and burst phase while you have this ice melody and thunder. Okay, and since your mirror heart is not at a cooldown close to 60 seconds, you do not always have it combined, have it overlapped with your multiple note melody bursts, but you cast it as soon as possible as a cooldown in most cases. And during those cases, you still have to pay attention to the coupling of your cooldown of note melody and mirror heart. Like always cast your mirror heart, not always, but if it does not waste you too much time, you don't have to wait too long, then keep your mirror heart until you finish singing of your note melody, and after the singing of your note melody, turn on your mirror heart. Okay, so I guess that is all details for beginners of the ice melody rotation. And in next video I will talk something about the ice thunder. Yeah, thank you for watching.